Welcome back to the channel, everybody. I got several stories here, breaking news information coming out. Got some dirt on Obama. Found out what happened to Letitia James, lack of prosecution. We'll fix to get that rendered as well. And we got General Flynn spouting about some things going on in the world involving the dirt on some more of these corrupt Democrats. All right, first off, let's get into it. Senior prosecutor in the Eastern District of Virginia refuses to charge corrupt Letitia James, New York Attorney General Letitia James, with any of her corruption and fraud charges. So I'm going to go ahead and give you this person's name. Let's go ahead and get right into it. It says a top prosecutor, according to MSNBC, Elizabeth Usey, a senior prosecutor who oversees criminal cases in North Fork office, is claiming there is no probable cause for Letitia James that Letitia James created mortgage fraud. Does this lady not know what happens to these people that work for the government that refuse to do their job? Have they not got the memo yet? It looks like we're going to have to fire Elizabeth, just like we had Pam Bondi fire several others in the Eastern District of Virginia. It sounds like the Eastern District of Virginia is full of a bunch of woke lefty FBI agents and district attorneys and prosecutors that do not want to do their job. They refuse to do their job. Well, that's okay. We got something for those people too. It's called "You're Fired." Trump's pretty good at that. He run The Apprentice for a little while. He can just send the marching order down to Pam Bondi. Get rid of that clown. Another one that doesn't want to do their job. You're out of there. I guess that's the easiest way to get your walking papers, is to refuse to do your sworn duty given to you by your superior there at the DOJ, FBI, or whatever agency the orders are coming out of. I'm just glad to see these folks sticking their head up and spouting off right from the get-go. They're not pretending to prosecute. They're going to go ahead and say, we ain't doing it. So we're going to have to just play leapfrog and find somebody else that will actually get the job done. That is so much better than the fakers and shakers that get in there and say, we're going to get them next time. No. This person needs to be replaced and handled up on immediately so we can get somebody in there that's actually going to do what Ed Martin is doing, do what this latest Attorney General for Washington, D.C. is doing. Just glad to see we've got some people in there that are now actually going to get some stuff done. Maybe Pam Bondi will get some prosecutions going out of this Eastern District of Virginia once we get all the cretins weeded out. Just thought I'd bring you that person's name because they'll be getting fired here directly, so remember that. General Flynn put out a arrest pleas note to Donald Trump, Pam Bondi, Todd Blanche, Director Patel, and DNI Tulsi Gabbard. It's about Barack Obama, and if you haven't heard this, it's a little bit damning. It says 20 CIA and FBI insiders confirmed that Barack Obama, otherwise known as Barry Soetoro, and a former CIA director orchestrated the entire Russia hoax and then hid it in a CIA vault for nearly a decade. Ooh, they got the evidence. Oh, that's so dirty. Dang it.
Fox News alert, the Director of National Intelligence, Tulsi Gabbard, releasing a bombshell report today that shows a conspiracy by a sitting president, Barack Obama, and his intel agencies to sabotage the president-elect, Donald Trump, brainwash the electorate, and undermine the legitimacy of an election.
There is irrefutable evidence that detail how President Obama and his national security team directed the creation of an intelligence community assessment that they knew was false. They knew it would promote this contrived narrative that Russia interfered in the 2016 election to help President Trump win, selling it to the American people as though it were true. It wasn't.
Gabbard got her hands on a House Intel report that's been locked away in a CIA vault for almost a decade. Investigators spent over 2,000 hours looking into how the Russia hoax was born, interviewing 20 CIA and FBI officials. And it turns out that the Obama administration doctored the intelligence to make it look like Putin and Trump stole the election. A month after Trump beat Hillary, Barack Obama wasn't satisfied with his intelligence reporting and ordered his CIA director to create a new assessment of how Russia interfered with the election. This was a highly unusual move. John Brennan handpicked 5 CIA analysts to write the assessment, and they were siloed. None of them knew what the other was doing, and only one analyst was in charge of drafting this report. There was nothing routine about this. and it was a rush job to publish before Trump was sworn in. Nothing was coordinated with the other intelligence agencies either. Basically, this was home cooking for Barack Obama. There were 4 key elements from the assessment that were repeated over and over again and formed the basis of the Russia hoax and the Robert Mueller witch hunt. 1, that Vladimir Putin wanted Donald Trump to win. 2, Putin took action to help Trump win. 3, the Russians had blackmail on Trump. That was the Steele dossier. And 4, that the Russians tried colluding with the Trump campaign. None of any of this was ever true. There was no reliable intelligence to support any of these allegations. Senior CIA officials repeatedly refused to traffic in these allegations, but they were repeatedly overruled by CIA Director Brennan and FBI Director Comey, who insisted that they be pushed, even without verifiable evidence. The Obama administration cherry-picked the intelligence, lied about their sources, misquoted sources, didn't corroborate their claims, suppressed intelligence that ran counter to their narratives, and even used anonymous internet postings. Rank and file CIA admitted what they were doing violated their own tradecraft standards. There was a massive pressure campaign that came right from the top. CIA analysts say they received unusual directives from political appointees, the CIA director, and Obama himself. This is how the Russia hoax was born.
Donald Trump knows that the Russians helped him win in 2016.
Putin hated Secretary Clinton so much that the flip side of that coin was he had a clear preference for the person running against the person he hated so much.
It was Russia in a very...
Sad truth of the matter was Putin didn't care who won either way. He didn't think Trump was going to win. He didn't know what to expect of Trump. But he knew that Hillary would be like Barack Obama and Joe Biden. She's a Democrat. She'd be easy to squeeze like a turnip. No doubt about it. Or squeeze like a grape, should I say. Because the Democrats always play ball. They pretend like Putin is the bad guy, but they always play ball by willing to give up land in Ukraine, start a war with Ukraine and Russia, give up Crimea without an argument, allow the Russian pipeline to be finished. These people are not Russia's enemy. They just play that game for the media. Truth be known, Russia and the Democrat Party have worked hand in hand probably for a very long time, and they probably prefer each other's company over Donald Trump because Donald Trump doesn't play no games. He's a great negotiator, and he probably gives Putin a run for his money when it comes to dealing with any kind of business negotiations or policy changes or ending of, hopefully, the Ukraine war. Trump is much better of a negotiator and an adversary to Putin than Hillary Clinton ever would have been. She was sold out before she ever was going to become president. She was sold out when she was Secretary of State, so they knew what to expect out of her. So to say Russian played a big role in this, no. The Democrat Party played a big role in trying to blame Russia. That's the truth of the matter. Every one of these people need to go to jail, and for any prosecutor that doesn't want to do their job to make sure these clowns get locked up behind their obvious crimes, not alleged crimes, but obvious crimes, they need to go.
Systematic way in trying to interfere in the election and to try to advance the prospects of Donald Trump being elected?
This was such a malicious disinformation campaign perpetrated on the American people that at one point, 60% of Democrats believed the Russians hacked our voting machines to help Trump win the White House. What this report actually shows is that the Russians just wanted to create chaos and undermine Americans' faith in democracy.
Now that sounds more like the truth than anything else I've heard. Now, speaking of old nasty Barry Soetoro, otherwise known as Obama, he was also running a money laundering operation through the Cayman Islands using USAID as a front, of course, disguised as foreign aid. I'm so glad we shut that thing down. You can't just make this stuff up. It always seems to be the same culprits, the same group, the same party, the same people every single time. During the Obama USAID era, we were running rogue operations in Cuba. USAID pumped $1.2 billion into activist groups teach them how to use Facebook, Twitter, hashtags, and coordinate street protests. All of it was structured to fool American people, Congress, and even the White House. Obama even secretly funded Twitter clone for Cuba called Zunzunio, slang for hummingbird, built to look like it came from Cubans. Dang. They were trying some maniacal crap back then. Says all of it was structured to fool the American people. First, it pushed the harmless content like sports and weather. Then it flipped to politics, propaganda, excuse me, organized dissent, and fueling mass protests. This is what you call homegrown protests. Not really. Paid-to-play protest. They routed the money through the Cayman Island accounts, claiming it was Pakistani aid, while secretly funding digital psyops and street uprisings. So we're going to find out that it's not just George Soros funding the Democrat Party, the BLM riots, and the Antifa, but the Obama family as well? Sounds very likely. It says, ladies and gentlemen, these people have been robbing you and our country blind for decades. They've been living lavish, wealthy lifestyles where everybody, hardworking Americans, struggle to get by as they continue to raise taxes and fleece the system. On top of all that, they actually use your tax dollars to fund riots, create ungodly amounts of propaganda against the American people, and to weaponize the government against Trump and the American people. All these operation programs and psyops created by all military-style tactics to topple countries to regime change and other CIA-style takeover operations similar to an operation called Operation Gladio. So we're trying to do regime change right here in the United States is what's going on. The worst part about it is that you were paying for all of it. The question you should be asking yourself now is, are there still any of these types programs and operations still taking place? The answer is, of course there is. Those only got so far into the digging before a lot of that stuff was stopped by Congress, of course. So Obama was using USAID as a front to launder money through the Cayman Islands, disguised as foreign aid. And this is Mike Benz. This guy has got the receipts, and if anybody knows anything about what is going on with the corruption in our government, this guy, he's got their number.
This was a scandal during the Obama USAID era. Now, we were running a number of rogue USAID operations in Cuba at the time. By the way, I have to say for the record, I'm no fan of the Cuban government. I'm not even weighing in on whether it's the right or wrong thing to do, in terms of regime change there or, liberating people there from autocratic excess by that government. I'm simply showing the American people where your tax dollars are going and how these things are structured in order to systematically fool you and to fool Congress and to fool the White House. So, for example, this is, and I'll show a couple other things in a second here, but this is Zunzunio. So if you just scroll for a second, we'll start with this, right? So it was an online social media. Just scroll up 1 second. We'll start at the top here. It was an online social networking microblogging service created by USAID and marketed to Cuban users. This was a Twitter knockoff. See, the background of this is 2009, 2014, that period. The State Department and USAID were gangbusters gung-ho on the promise of Arab Spring-style social media revolutions to topple other governments. The Arab Spring was a Facebook revolution and a Twitter revolution. USAID pumped $1.2 billion in, and we sponsored these activist groups and these civil society organizations to learn how to use Facebook, learn how to use Twitter, learn how to use hashtags, learn how to coordinate street protests so that everyone knows where to go, what street to show up on, what kind of slogans to use in order to create the pro-democracy, predicate for it.
Sounds like he's got proof that Obama was funding terrorism through these NGOs, like you said, and money laundering, of course. You got to steal some money while you're at it.
But the problem was, at the time, Cuba did not allow U.S. social media in. So they said, so they're not allowing Twitter in. How can we get a Twitter there, but without calling it Twitter, without making it look like it's coming from the U.S. So what they did is they took the exact same thing as Twitter, same user interface, same like and retweet button. Zunzuneo is the Cuban slang word for hummingbird. So it means it's bird. It was the Twitter bird, the whole thing. But the whole trick about it was you have to make it look like it's coming from the Cubans if you're going to do this operation. So what you'll see is it began running. So this is 2010. This is right during the Arab Spring. And what you'll see is they took funds, millions of dollars of funds that were concealed as humanitarian funds designated for Pakistan. Now, I don't know if Joe or the audience, if you looked at a map lately, but Pakistan is not exactly the next door neighbor of Cuba. Right? So, and this is the Wikipedia whitewashing, and we can get into the deeper layers of this, but contractors funded by USAID, I should note, the main contractor was Creative Associates International, who's a frequent one. It's CAI, not CIA, I promise. So they concealed in the budget from Senate, from Congress, from the White House National Security Council. They said that these were humanitarian funds for Pakistan. And then they ran that to their contractor, CAI, to, quote, set up a Byzantine system of front companies using Cayman Islands bank accounts and recruiting unsuspecting business executives who would not be told of the company's ties to the U.S. government, according to the AP. The private companies like Creative Associates International designed the network. The idea arose after they were given 500,000 stolen Cuban cell phones that were.
So this whole time that Barack Obama was in office, we thought Hunter Biden and Joe Biden were the problem because they were the bag man for the deep state, involving all this money laundering going through USAID to the Ukraine war, to these Ukrainian energy companies that somehow or another the Bidens had the power to threaten to get people, cut off aid to people if they didn't fire people like Shokin. What a mess. We thought of Biden and the son and the brother were the biggest part of Barack Obama's corruption, being that they let Biden have his way with all this foreign aid money to be dispersed how they chose it. No, that's not what's going on. Barack Obama was just as involved as Joe Biden. He probably taught him how to do it, or maybe Biden taught him how to do it. I don't know which, but they were obviously all in on it. They all had their foreign aid money going to places that it never showed up in order to pay for other things that we weren't supposed to know about. It's part of the playbook. Now, if you want to watch this entire video clip, I have it over here on my channel. Very informative. I do like Mr. Mike Benz. Everything he says is absolutely the truth because he does his homework. He does the deep dive digging of a real investigative journalist. And it looks like Barack Obama may be in trouble. I mean, just saying. They say Jack Smith and Letitia James are both have had it too. Matter of fact, what they found out about Jack Smith this week in the last 24 hours will probably get him arrested. But before we get into that, let's listen to what Caroline Leavitt says about these Antifa being funded and following the money to the NGOs and the perps that are paying for this violence in our country. Is Obama still involved? Or is that just George Soros and Alex Soros and a few others? We don't know. We're fixing to find out, though.
The financial backing of these groups, particularly Antifa, is certainly something the administration is looking into aggressively. And the federal government has never really been mobilized or tasked with doing that. So we're kind of kickstarting that into gear. The FBI is working on it alongside the White House's Homeland Security Task Force. We have our intelligence community looking into this as well. And even the Secretary of Treasury is involved with these matters since they are financial in nature. And we will continue to get to the bottom of who is funding these organizations in this organized anarchy against our country and our government. It's a question the American people have been begging the answer for many years, and we're committed to uncovering it. And when we do, I'm sure you'll be one of the first people to know.
So it looks like we're going to have at least 6 agencies looking into following the money as far as who's paying for these violent riots that have been happening in our country for the most part of 8 years. It's It's ridiculous, folks. Hopefully we'll get more than investigations out of this. Hopefully we'll get about 24 perp walks before the year's out. Well, I can wait till 2026 if need be. No statute of limitations on Obama. He's still a criminal. But I believe, honestly, they should be able to do a RICO conspiracy charge on every single one of these people that pulled the Russia collusion hoax, tried to steal our election, went out of their way to launder money. So many things that weaponize the government. There's so many things these Democrats are so guilty of. I just want to see one of them go to jail. Well, we're going to find out this week if they're going to give Comey a slap on the wrist. What's really going to happen when they actually bring him in for arraignment Wednesday. We will see what's really going down after that deal. Now, this is a breaking bombshell discovery. Jack Smith has been caught breaking the law. Good grounds for arrest. Just this one fact alone. Says this, the bombshell is there's been a discovery of several senators have several senators uncovered the fact that Biden's FBI spied on 8 GOP senators during Jack Smith Arctic Frost investigation that was eventually weaponized against Trump. So basically, Jack Smith and the FBI worked hand in hand to try to delegitimize, spy on, and make life hell for at least 8 or 10 of Trump's people. And I could probably tell you who half of them are: Manafort, Steve Bannon, Peter Navarro, General Flynn, of course. Solicitation. Devin Nunes, of course. Yeah, I know who the list is. It's the people that were trying to do the right thing. Government come after them like a pack of wild dogs.
Of these telephone records, which I think emphasizes the political weaponization that was behind all this effort. And we're still getting more information, but we've released some records today, and I'll let Senator Johnson take over from here, and then each one of you colleagues can join in when you want to, whatever you want to say.
First of all, I want to thank Senator Grassley. It is because of his relentless advocacy for whistleblowers that a lot of this information is surfacing right now. We wouldn't know about the list of 100 Republican entities that were targeted by Jack Smith's Arctic Frost investigation. I don't think we know about this as well. So we need whistleblowers. I think Dan Bongino and folks in the FBI, they don't know where all the records are hidden. They still don't. They're not necessarily getting 100% cooperation. But this is outrageous what has happened. I just want to give you a timeline of this. I think you've already got the FBI sheet that shows the number of members of Congress that were targeted. Representative Kelly, Senators Graham, Haggerty, Hawley, Sullivan, Tuberville, myself, Senator Lummis, and Blackburn. Now, this memo was dated September of 2023. To put it all into context, the Mar-a-Lago raid occurred in August of 2022. Jack Smith announced the indictments against President Trump in August of 2023. So this is almost 2 months later. They're casting this net, this fishing expedition against members of the Senate and the House. Again, I've been investigating this with Senator Grassley. This doesn't surprise me, but it should shock every American.
We're not shocked. We knew it happened. They've been weaponized against y'all for every bit of 8 years. In every way they could come up with. They bent, they warped, they broke the rules. They twisted policy in order to cater to their narrative and what they wanted, which was to try to take Trump and the Republican Party down. These people have worked not just against one party in our government, but they've worked against the American people in order to try to maintain control. This is treason, folks. Spying on politicians in order to try to get the upper hand, find some dirt on them so you can find a way to push them out. This is dirty. This is about blackmail, extortion, and so many other things. That's the only reason they would go to this trouble.
What the Biden administration has done, by the way, this is the first time I was targeted by the FBI. Under the Obama administration, the same thing happened to both Senator Grassley and I. As part of the Foreign Influence Task Force, we were giving a briefing to try and convince us that the Hunter Biden laptop was no big deal. Basically, trying to throw us off the track. So this is major corruption that's being revealed inside the Obama and Biden Department of Justice, the FBI. And I'll turn it over to, I guess, Senator Haggerty, who's one of the individuals. Again, none of us were.
So, y'all tell me what you think. Do you think Jack Smith will go to jail behind these allegations that looks like they got the proof? Will Obama go to jail? Will Obama be indicted? Will Obama be subpoenaed? Will all this money laundering that's been going on, this promoting of violence that's been going on, will anybody catch a conspiracy charge or a RICO charge or a fraud charge? Will there be any felonies passed out to all these people for all these investigations that seem to be going nowhere? I don't know, folks. I'm going to go ahead and be patient. Hopefully y'all will as well. That's all we can do is wait. But it does look like, not just that there's more investigations going than there ever was before, but it does look like we are heading down the path of proving that these people done the American people and Trump wrong from 2015, late 2015, all the way up till today. Shouldn't be hard to prove. A lot of these people have lied under oath. A lot of these people have lied on sworn statements, trying to deny the Hunter Biden laptop. A lot of these folks have pumped narratives on mainstream media knowing that they colluded with the lie, the Russia hoax. Can we get Barack Obama arrested? Can we get that, please? In the name of Almighty Jesus, I pray for justice for all these clowns that think they were above the law, thought they would never get caught, thought they'd never be held accountable. Well, I don't know how it's going to go, folks. I'm going to have to leave it all up to God and try to have a little patience, because if there is any justice to be served in this country, these are the folks that are most deserving of it. That's what I got for you today, folks. Hopefully everybody enjoyed. We definitely got all kinds of stuff going on behind the scenes involving more legal minutia. Hopefully going to turn into some gray bar